I would get so anxious going to these events because I was like, what if people don't think I look like that? And when I made that switch to that authenticity and just posting the real me, I think all of that went. Starting running in a way that I did and grounding it completely in enjoyment, that has set me up now for life, that running needs to be something I enjoy. It sounds crazy, but my life genuinely changed in the space of a week. It really heals like a little part of me that thought, oh, I'll never be good enough to run with my dad. I am Alice Hadfield, but you probably know me, or everyone listening, as Alice Jessica Fit, and I have an Instagram account that I post running stuff on, or formerly before all that stuff, I post gym content, also like body positivity kind of stuff, trying to uplift my audience. But yeah, that's who I am. That's what I post, and yeah.
I think that's a good place to start, actually. Let's kind of talk about your journey in fitness through your Instagram account. So from kind of its inception, like you said, posting body positivity things and gym content to where we are now, that's been quite a journey. So like, when was the first decision made to start an Instagram account, to start posting, and when did it first kind of get that initial growth?
So I think it's coming up to 3 years ago now, which seems crazy because I think when it started, I was posting like once a week. So the first year was just very sporadic, just posting gym things. So just stuff I was doing in the gym and gym pictures. It was very just what I wanted to post at the time. I didn't necessarily think about growing my page or interacting too much with an audience. It was just to kind of share my journey, and I think it got to like 1,000 followers, which I was so over the moon with. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got 1,000 people, that's crazy. And then during the time, I've always been really rooted in like body positivity because I've come on such a self-love journey like over the years, and so I'd start to like dip into that a little bit, but I think I was very, I'm going to say ashamed, but I was just very like nervous that the people around me, because I was at university at the time, would either talk to me about why I was posting and I'd just be like, I don't want to talk about it, or they would, I don't know, just like bring it up. It was quite a vulnerable thing to do, to start posting things about if you've struggled with self-love in the past and confidence and all that kind of stuff. But I just started to like dip my toe into it, and the reaction I would be amazing. So I was like, okay, this is amazing. Like, I love posting that kind of stuff. And over then, I think it was the second year going into my account, I really started to post my gym content, but really incorporate like a really authentic way about it, because what I was posting before was just so super duper, like I'd spend hours getting the right angles and all that kind of stuff. So I just stopped doing that and just posted really authentic, true to myself content that people actually did want to see, and I was really surprised at that. And then so after a couple of months of really diving into like the whole body positivity kind of section of social media, I had a reel that I posted that got 9 million views. And my account went from having 5,000 followers to having, it jumped up to over 100,000. So that, in my third year of uni, writing my dissertation, I was like, what is going on? Like, my life is just, it sounds crazy, but my life genuinely changed in the space of a week. And it was a lot to take in. But yeah, that is kind of how we've got to the growth on social media. And then over the last year, I'd say the running came into the picture, and I decided I didn't want to just work out in the gym. I wanted to push myself to being a total beginner, and I say total beginner, to being able to be an actual runner. And I was an actual runner because I put my trainers on and I went out and did it, but I wanted to be running races and getting quicker, and I just wanted to be like everyone else I saw online. But yeah.
It's really cool hearing you say about kind of that shift towards authenticity and that kind of being a conscious decision. And that must have felt quite freeing at that time, because, you know, everybody knows what it's like, I think, to be flicking through their camera roll, looking for that best photo, trying to find that best one that they're going to put up to get the, you know, the interaction, whether that's from an audience or from just family and friends and, you know, your peers. What was it like when you did sort of flick that switch and think, right, I'm going to be more authentic? Did that feel quite freeing?
It definitely did. And I think it really dragged me down every day trying to get the perfect picture and the perfect lighting in the perfect outfit. And it's really consuming on your energy when you're doing that process of finding the perfect picture and trying every single time to get like the perfect shot. It's just you're putting every element of yourself and picking yourself apart and criticizing yourself, even if it's just to post one picture. The amount of negativity that actually comes out through that was huge. So stopping doing that and kind of being like, no, I'm just going to post what I actually look like, because I actually don't look like that. I'm just going to post what I actually look like. And people loved it. I didn't know whether they would. I was just like, I'm just going to do it. Because I'd go to these like gym events and I'd be like, I've been posting all this stuff that's so posed and the perfect angle, and I would get so anxious going to these events because I was like, what if people don't think I look like that? And when I made that switch to that authenticity and just posting the real me, I think all of that went, and I was like, no, people know me for who I actually am. And I think that's the most important part of my journey, that I'm now posting who I actually am and what I want to post and my natural energy, rather than something that's so like constructed.
I saw one of your reels recently actually that was talking about the fear of judgment, and that was talking about the fear of judgment in running. But actually, from what you've kind of already said in this conversation, when you started your journey on social media, there was that kind of fear of judgment in that part of your life as well. Can you draw those comparisons between starting the social media journey and kind of starting the running journey and letting go of that fear of judgment?
Yeah, so I've obviously touched on the social media side of judgment and feeling like people are watching you or talking about you. And I think the same thing can be really easily transferred when you start a running journey, because when I started, I didn't want people to see me out and about. You get really anxious that, say, if you're like, especially when you're getting into running, it inevitably comes with walking breaks, and that isn't really shown too much on social media, but you have to kind of walk to become a better runner, to be able to run consistently. Like, you can't expect yourself to go out and just run a 5k the first day. So I'd be really scared that people would judge me for walking. And I think when you're first starting that running journey, it's really important to just remember that everyone actually does begin at the same point. No one just begins and can run 10k. Everyone has to break it up and slow it down and take breaks. And it's that letting go of the judgment that may hold you back, because I know that I was like, well, I'm not going to run because it's busy and people are going to watch me, so I'm just not going to run today. And then I'd be like, well, no, because none of those people actually matter. The only person is you at the end of the day, and doing something for you and what's actually going to help you in the long run.
How did you initially let go of that judgment though? Because it's easy to say it, isn't it? It's easy to say don't think about it. But what were the things that you actually did to kind of help you get out on a day to day?
So I think to start off with, I just I got my trainers on and I'd pick a certain time that I knew was good for me. So, for example, on my days off from work, I knew that schools would go to school at like 9 in the morning. So I definitely didn't run at 9 in the morning at 3 p.m. And then I didn't go when like the post-work traffic was like. So I just picked like a really quiet time of day that was going to be nice weather, and I'd just go out. So I knew I could kind of control it. And that definitely helped. And I think one thing I've like read somewhere, and this really stuck with me, is that when someone is a professional runner or even a really well experienced runner, they are going to still have breaks on like an interval session. and like walking breaks and interval sessions. So no one actually knows who you are. No one knows what point along you are in your journey. And taking a walking break for you, it may feel like you're so embarrassed and you feel like a failure for walking, but it's everyone walks and running when you do these types of sessions. And another thing that really helped me, like a mantra I always said to myself when I went out running, is no one knows which kilometer or mile you're on. No one knows that. So you could go out and you could be on your first kilometer and you could be really, really struggling, or someone might think you're on your 20th kilometer. No one knows that. So that really helped me think, no, it doesn't matter which kilometer I'm on. No one around me knows apart from you. And those two things I always said to myself, and it really, really helped with my confidence, and then ultimately letting go of judgment.
I really love that. I love the idea of, nobody knowing what kilometer you're on. And at the end of the day, I think something else that has always been said to me is like, if you see someone out running, they're still out running. Do you know what I mean? Like they've been through that whole process of, oh, should I go out? Should I not go out? Oh, I've got a busy day. I could probably go out. Maybe I'll just go to the gym. Maybe I'll just go for a walk. It's like you're doing it. You're out there and you're doing it. I think that's kind of similar to when people get into the gym as well. So many people say, I don't know what I'm doing in the gym. I'm embarrassed because I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't know how to kind of get to a point where I feel more confident. And those struggles are something that everyone goes through. But I think sometimes we don't really talk about, do we?
No, I think you, especially on social media where we receive the most of our information on, like the gym and all that kind of stuff, you just see like the seasoned gym goers, the ones who've been going for years, and you don't necessarily see the people who are going for the first time and actually have not a clue what they're doing. It's not really spoken about, that fear, and it is such a huge fear of walking into that environment. But I do think it needs to be spoken about more.
I do think there has been this kind of shift on social a little bit recently in running and in other, fitness content, where there does seem to be this explosion of new runners, new people going to the gym, and their followings have literally just skyrocketed. And I think it's exactly because what you're saying, like it's that authenticity, it's that kind of real life storytelling. From being in it, why do you think that is?
I think it's so relatable. And I think, well, I started my running journey a year ago, and I remember starting it alongside other people on social media. So they were also starting theirs. And I was obsessed with their content because as they were starting and they were running their first 2 kilometers and their first 3 kilometers, so was I. And it just really helps to motivate you when you're also a beginner and you feel so seen and so heard, that not everyone that you follow on social media has just run a London Marathon, and not everyone is doing these crazy new goals. There's also people who can start with you and help motivate you because they're also going through it, and it's just relatable. And then these creators are so powerful, creating these like community groups and all the new runners who can kind of start together. And I think the explosion of running has been amazing for social media, because I just think it's just such a powerful thing to kind of bring people together, because it's so like vulnerable starting something like that and then doing it together and being able to feel heard will just make people feel supported, even if it is online.
Was there a moment, a reason that your running journey began? Was there kind of a match lit, if you will? What was the reason behind it?
I'd say there are numerous things. One huge influence has been there like my whole life. So my dad is like an ultra marathon runner. So he has always run like 50 miles. He's a massive trail runner. So he's always run these crazy, crazy distances. Like he is insane. Like the other day he went out at 10:30 at night and just ran 20 miles with his friends. Um, so I think that's always been there, and it's kind of thought, I've always thought, well, those challenges and challenging yourself, something that's always been in me, and it's never really lit in running. It's always lit in other sports, and I've always been super sporty and competitive with myself, but always just said, oh, I'm not a runner. I'm not a runner. I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to do what I'm good at. And then one day the gym kind of wasn't satisfying me anymore. I decided to start running, and I would say it got half lit, that spark, because I loved it initially, and then I immediately signed up to a half marathon race, and I didn't train for it. I didn't do the half marathon race, and I stopped running for 8 to 9 months. And then I recently posted a reel to say about my car accident that I had. So I went back to the gym. But then in November last year, at the end of last year, I had a car accident, which meant I couldn't bear any weight at all. So I had to kind of give up the gym for 2 months, and I wanted to move. I've always done exercise, and obviously working aside my physio, we did it together. I said to him, I want to start running again. And I think after 2 months of no exercise and feeling like you really understand the power and how amazing it is to be able to move your body, when that is taken away from you, you don't understand it until you can't do it. So then I just had this feeling of, right, I'm really starting from scratch now, because it's been 8 months since I've ran. I know I can, but I'm just going to take it so easy. Like, I went super duper slow, super short distances, and it was a challenge to myself. And that was when the spark finally went off, and the fireworks happened, and I was addicted from that point. And well, that was in January when I restarted running properly, and we are now in June. And
Scary.
June, I know, scary, and literally best thing I ever did.
I bet your dad absolutely loves it. I say that as well because my sister always used to say to me when we were growing up, and I've run from, when I was in school or whatever. She always, I don't get why Ben does it. Like, I got no idea. I would only run if somebody was chasing me. And then like a couple of months, or like about a year ago now, actually, a couple of months ago, thinking about time again. Yeah, about a year ago.
Yeah.
She goes, I want to do a marathon. And I was like, well, I can help you. I can help you train towards a marathon. So I send in her training plans every single week. And then she did it. And I was like, I feel better than if I did a marathon here. Like, this is amazing. I bet that's a similar feeling to what your dad's got. I bet he's super proud right now.
Definitely. Like, we now run together. So for my half marathon training, we went out every Sunday together. Like, every Sunday it was like an unwritten rule. Me and him would be going out. We'd be running 10 miles, however many miles. And it really heals like a little part of me that thought, oh, I'll never be good enough to run with my dad. Like, I always said to myself, like, I want to be a runner, but I want to be able to be a runner and run with my dad. And to be able to do that with him is amazing for me, but also I'm sure for him to see his daughter like following in his footsteps. I guess he was desperate to get me signed up for an ultra marathon, and I'm like, maybe in a couple of years.
I love that. And it's the little moments that running brings you, which is amazing. And actually, you've kind of already mentioned this conversation, it being quite a lot to deal with when everything exploded on social media, because it happened very, very fast. I'm sure you're somebody that uses exercise and running and movement to kind of help deal with those feelings of, oh my God, there's a lot going on right now. When that was taken away, when you had your accident, was that a difficult thing to deal with initially before then you realized, like, okay, we're going to begin this running journey again?
It really was. I think I couldn't. So I remember, like, because I'm such a person who needs exercise, I need movement, I need something every single day to feel like calm and to process my emotions. It's just always been there for me. So even after the accident, I really tried to. My parents were shouting at me like, "You need to sit on the sofa," and I was like, "I'm going to go have a walk outside for 10 minutes." They were like, "You're not allowed to go and walk for 10 minutes," but and I'd try and I couldn't do it. I was in so much pain, and I really had to force myself to rest. And it was really hard to process my emotions and feel in control, because exercise was just it's just such therapy for me, and it always has been, even from when I was young. I was so sporty. And it's just been something that, reflecting now, I'm really glad I did take the rest, because luckily now I'm not dealing with any of the any of the side effects. But yeah, it was really hard at the time to kind of process my emotions without exercise. It required a lot of brain work and a lot of going to different things. So reading and journaling, I just had to go down those routes rather than doing something that I actually wasn't allowed to do.
You mentioned about that first half marathon, signing up for it and then not doing it and stopping running. I know where we are at now. You've run numerous races. You've got a PB with RunThrough actually in Nantwich, and you're just coming off the back of your first half marathon race as well in Manchester. What has that been like to go from running for yourself, and I know you're still running for yourself, but you're running in a competitive environment when it comes to races? How has that been, and what was it like stepping on the start line for the first time as well?
Oh, so it's such an amazing feeling. Well, it's terrifying stepping on the start line, but going back to when I started running just for me, I think social media is a funny place with terms of paces. And when you start running, you don't realize if you're quick, normal, or slow. But social media kind of forces you to you kind of realize quite quickly when you're seeing other people's paces. You can kind of be like, okay, so I'm around here and they're up here, because it's inevitable. Everyone shares their paces. And when I first started running, I was like, oh, I love this. And then I realized, okay, I'm in the slower department. That's okay. And I loved it, because it felt really good for me. And I thought, well, this is amazing, because I can run at this pace and it feels really, really good. And it actually means I can go out and I can run way further. So starting running in terms of just for me, and in terms of like getting into it, it was really amazing. And then it's a whole other term, like feeling of empowerment, going into like competitive running and running for the distance, like running a training plan for a distance, and then that whole training block, working up to it, and then stepping on the start line. That feeling is now what I love even more than the starting off running just for me and my own enjoyment. It's now the goals and the training blocks and the discipline. All of that actually really empowers me, because I know then when I step on the start line, although I'm absolutely terrified, I know that I actually have done all the work to get me there. And it's a really, really good feeling. You just feel so proud of yourself. And honestly, running that half marathon a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't help crying during it, because it's just such like a emotional experience, because you're like, I've done all the work for this and I'm now here, and I've come from a place where I just couldn't run at all, and I'm now running a half marathon, and it feels amazing. And that joy of enjoying running is so empowering.
I think it's cliche a little bit. People say, the race is a victory lap, but I think that's so important to treat it like that, because if you don't love the process, which you obviously do, then you're not going to get out of the race what you're hoping to get out of the race. And it is about that process. It's about those 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever you're putting in, that whole journey leading up to that race. And I could tell that you absolutely loved it. There's the photo on your Instagram and you are absolutely beaming. Like, what did that moment feel like? Because you also went in and ran a really good time and just obviously had an amazing day there.
It was just amazing. I remember crossing the line, and my friend who I've actually like met through running, who is now one of my closest friends, was stood there because she'd caught up to me during the race. We ran a mile together and then she carried on. And she was stood on the finish line waiting for me. And we just gave each other the biggest hug. And I just, from that moment, because the last couple of miles were so tough and it never felt like, it genuinely felt like it wasn't going to end. But crossing the line and just feeling ecstatic and proud and emotional, it is a victory lap. It's an example of all the hard work, all the dedication, and what you've done week in week, and you've promised yourself you do. And I think even if it's just 3 hours a week or however many hours it takes, it's time you've dedicated to better yourself. And I think seeing it like that it's a process of, I have got better and I've gained so much from the experience, and the time was amazing and I'm so proud of that. But the whole experience and the growth I've had mentally, physically, that medal encapsulates it all for me, really, at this point. And I'm sure there's more to come in the future. I'm so excited.
Well, on that, we've mentioned, a few years in the future, if your dad's trying to get you to sign up for an ultra marathon, but I'm sure there are steps that you want to go on between now and then. So where do you go from here?
So after the half, I said to myself, I'm not going to get carried away and sign up for a marathon just yet. Although, of course, I'm in the London Marathon ballot. Who isn't?
The whole country.
The whole country is. So I'm going to run a couple more half marathons. I've got another one signed up again in Manchester for the October half. And then I'm going to do a couple others throughout the year. And then hopefully a marathon next April. So either London or Manchester are on the cards. And then years to come, hopefully I will get into my trail running and I will complete some ultras with my dad. That is the ultimate goal. And document it all, of course. But for now, the half marathon's the focus. I'm not going to get carried away in the short term, but my goals are to just keep getting better, keep dedicating time to myself, and just know that I'm capable, and just keep reminding myself of that.
The maturity in that decision is incredible as well. Like, actually, you don't hear that very often when you say, what's next after a half? 90% of the time, people are going to go, a marathon. So, like, to be able to say, I want to just, focus on me still, keep doing the half marathons, and then when a marathon happens, it happens. Because I think actually that is something that with social media, people are rushing into a little bit at the moment. People are just going, marathon. It's like there are a lot of steps to get to that. And if you want to do it and do it well and do it that you want to do it again, because I think that's part of it. Like, you don't want to go into it, realize, oh, maybe I should have taken a few more steps. I absolutely hate this, and then never do it ever again. Like, you're obviously seeing something that you want to do for the rest of your life in running. And that's amazing to see. Is that how it feels? Is this something that you always want to have?
Definitely. And I think starting running in a way that I did and grounding it completely in enjoyment, that has set me up now for life, that running needs to be something I enjoy. So I know that if I jumped and went to do a marathon, I genuinely know that I just wouldn't enjoy the process right now. And also, all these distances, I think you're definitely so right that a lot of people are jumping into these marathons and marathon training blocks, which are huge. They take up so much time, which I don't think is also acknowledged all the time. And it's a huge commitment. And all these other distances are still amazing. Like a 10K is amazing, a half marathon is amazing, and you can just build it up slowly. Everyone can just take their time, I think, and it's the beauty of taking your time in something that you really love. is amazing. So yeah, I definitely want to continue it forever. Um, as much as I'm just hoping I don't get injured now. But yeah, definitely grounding it in enjoyment has meant that I can continue doing it in any shape or form. If I need to slow it down at any point, I can slow it down. As long as my trainers are on, I'm happy.
I'm going to pinch that phrase, grounding it in enjoyment. I absolutely love that. I think that's class. And if anybody's listening to this and they don't follow you on Instagram, I would say go and do that, because like that message of positivity that you spread is infectious. Like even when I was prepping for this conversation, flicking through some of your reels and just the honesty, the positivity, it's amazing. And I think sharing your message how you do, obviously there are going to be a lot of people out there that are flicking through Instagram when they wake up and they see something that you've posted first thing in the morning and think, okay, let's get out and let's go and do the thing, whatever that thing may be, which is very cool. We're going to do the thing. So on that, if somebody is listening to this now and thinking about going to do the thing, whether that be, starting a running journey, starting a gym journey, like we'll finish with this. What would be your words? Then what would you say to them?
Trust yourself. Know that you're capable. Do it small and often. Start small. Just because the goal may seem big, you absolutely can do the thing. Just break it down. Do it in small increments, because then it gives you micro goals, and as you're ticking those off, you're inevitably getting closer to the big goal. And yeah, just go in with intent, and you absolutely can do it. No one will doubt you.